we're back at it once again. You're on with the Winner Circuit. I'm Isaiah.
You already know this your boy Nix. What's good, people?
And this week, more sports, more news, more Winner Circuit. So as we start out, we're going to get into the NFL schedule. A few weeks out into the draft, the schedule is out, and everybody wants to know what's going on. Peyton Manning, the Jets, Tebow, everything. Well,
The Jets.
week one, the NFL put the New York Giants versus who?
The Cowboys.
In the NFL's first Wednesday game since 1948. Now the Giants are coming off a Super Bowl victory in which they defeated the New England Patriots for the second time in 4 years. So here's how we think. Here's how I think. I think Eli Manning proved to everybody that he's an elite quarterback, throwing nearly 5,000 yards last year, 4,933 to be exact. Also, he proved that he can make his wide receivers better. Now, everybody knew the Giants had a great receiving core, but now that Eli has put himself on a pedestal with 2 Super Bowl rings, he can now relax in New York. There's no more. He doesn't have to prove his validity anymore. He is on point. Now, as we look at his brother, Peyton Manning, coming off a year where he did not play at all, coming off neck surgeries, he wants to prove himself again, playing for the Denver Broncos. I mean, he's replacing the great Tim Tebow.
The Great.
I mean, he wins.
Oh my God, the
He
Great.
I mean, Peyton Manning is still trying to prove himself. He still had the chip on his shoulder, and we don't have to wait to see how he's gonna play. His first game is against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and in the first primetime game of the season on Sunday. So, as we look at Peyton Manning's performance, we get to judge how he's coming back off his injury. What do you think?
Right. I think he'll have an okay game, an average game. I look for the Steelers to win that game. But the game I'm looking forward to is week 1. Minnesota Vikings versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Don't laugh. You got 2 of the best running backs in the NFL.
That's cool.
Adrian Peterson, we already knows number 1.
But there's no quarterback play.
What are you talking? We have Christian Ponder, future MVP of the league.
And who they have?
Well, that's not important. Like
What receivers do you have?
Percy Harvin. That's all you need.
I feel like Jared Allen's gonna choke one of you guys out.
Why would he choke his own teammate? This is not Latrell Speedwell.
I mean, hey, fellow New York Knick, you know how that goes. But I just think that you guys, according to the schedule, you guys have the 3rd toughest schedule.
Well, they have to reward the great teams, but they have to challenge the good teams. The Giants are the Super Bowl champs, and they had the hardest schedule.
Right.
The Vikings almost won the Super Bowl last year, so now they have the 3rd hardest schedule.
What was your record last year?
Well, they won 3 games, but they had a lot of injuries and things like that, or they would have won the Super Bowl.
I mean, I feel like there's no quarterback play, there's no consistency. Hey, do you guys even have a head coach?
Leslie Frazier.
He might get fired and ain't there now. You know how the NFL works. Production. Let's go.
So what game are you looking forward to? Since you want this my game.
Well, I think that there's a lot of games that we need to see. I think that we have the Thanksgiving games, the Jets versus the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Cowboys are always a draw because of Tony Romo. They have Bryant. They have Miles Austin. I feel like the Cowboys can be productive up until a certain extent, but I don't see them producing anything. Like always, I think.
Like always, they got like 5 rings.
But I mean, since Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman's era, what have we seen from the Cowboys? I feel like they're a glorified franchise right now, and they might turn into the Raiders, like with Al Davis. They have championships as well, but they became a glorified franchise, and they're covered based on namesake rather than production.
Well, thank God we don't have to worry about that with the Vikings because, as you will see week 1, it will be a blowout. Vikings will win, and we're going to get this season started off on the right track.
We'll see how that works. But as we go into the season, we have some storylines that we have to pay attention to. Peyton Manning, Tim Tebow in New York,
Mark Sanchez.
We have to see how the Giants respond to another Super Bowl.
Right.
We have to see can they maintain that momentum after losing Brandon Jacobs, after losing Mario Manningham. We have to see how they're going to produce. Also, we have the New Orleans Saints, who will be without core pieces of their coaching staff. Head coach Sean Payton is suspended for the entire season,
Right.
and he cannot. And during his suspension, which was just revealed 2 days ago, Sean Payton cannot communicate with anybody on his coaching staff during the duration of this suspension whatsoever. He cannot have any type of communication, and if he does, he will have to communicate through a NFL executive.
Right. Well, he's gonna talk to his coaching staff anyway. What if he just texts like the assistant coach? How the NFL's gonna know?
Well, Roger Goodell has pull everywhere, as we know.
So he's gonna invade somebody's privacy to make sure he doesn't talk to somebody. Is that illegal?
Hey, we'll see. But we'll see what happens. What's up next?
Right now, we're gonna talk about college basketball.
Okay.
The great Pat Summitt has retired today after how many seasons?
38 years.
38 years, 8 championships, the most wins in college basketball history.
Right.
What do you think her legacy is?
I mean, she is such a phenomenal woman, and to lead a not just a university, but to lead. I look at Tennessee basketball as an organization. They're almost like a professional team. They have great players coming out of their program, and also she's consistently built winners. When you look at some of the prestige that she has coming out, Shamika Holsquare, when she came out, she was the best player in the country. Candace Parker, you understand? And then look at the rivalries that she's went up against during her time. UConn.
Well, it's not a rivalry. UConn dominated that rivalry.
Well, it might not seem like a rivalry to you, but during that time, she's won championships. Geno's won championships. So it's always went back and forth. Towards the end of her career, they stopped the rivalry due to some recruiting issues and some issues between the coaches. But she has always maintained a level of consistency that has raised the bar in college basketball. She was diagnosed with early onset of dementia in the last August. So this was her last season that just passed, and she got so much respect from her peers, from those who coached up under her to those who admire her. I mean, she's someone who can be a staple within Tennessee for years to come, even though she stepped down. And she's always going to be someone who's going to motivate people to win because she has that proven history behind her. As you said, she has the most wins in all of college basketball. She has 8 championships, and she has relationships with great players who she has coached to prove.
All right. Now, before I say what I'm about to say,
What are you going to say?
Pat Summitt is a great woman. She's an exceptional coach. But she's a little bit overrated. Hear me out. She is not a top 5 coach in college basketball. She's not top 5.
When you say that, where are you basing that off of?
I'm just saying I can name about 5, 6 coaches that are better coaches than her.
Let me ask you this. Before college basketball was truly put on the pedestal that it is now, as far as with both men's basketball and women's basketball, it takes time to build that rapport up between fans and players and coaches and all of that, right? When women's basketball truly got put on the forefront the way that it has now, who is one of the foundations that helped build that? Pat Summitt is one of those coaches. I feel like Geno is one of them, and Pat is. Pat has 8 NCAA championships.
Geno has 7, and he's not done yet.
Obviously, now that Pat has retired.
Oh, now he's going to have a better chance of winning?
He does.
Listen.
He does.
Geno, Mike Krzyzewski, Bob Knight, John Wooden. I can name a bunch of coaches.
So, I ask you this. Why would you put Geno above Pat? And she has 8.
He has a better chance of winning more championships. He's still not done. So he's gonna retire with at least 10, 11 championships.
If he does, that doesn't put him above.
Oh, so championships don't matter anymore?
I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but you are basing it off of something that we haven't seen yet. You're assuming that he's gonna win more championships.
He is gonna win.
I'm sure Pat felt like after she won her,
Nah.
she was gonna win more too.
No.
But sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes, as we can see, Brittany Griner is dominating.
She's not gonna be there forever.
But next year, I'm going out on a limb and I'm saying Baylor's gonna win another championship.
That's not
right?
Going out on a limb.
The Notre Dame Irish, they clearly were better than UConn this year.
Clearly?
Scott, for the last 2
They
years,
won in overtime. That's not way better.
but they won. Winning matters, right? I think because you're a Knicks fan, you're kind of quick to draw on the almost card. I'm saying this: UConn will always be a great program. They're never gonna be out of contention. They're always gonna be a number 1 or number 2 seed in the tournament, and they're always gonna draw fans because of their dominance over the years. But I will say this: there are other programs that are coming up. When you look at Stanford.
What about them?
The twin sisters that just graduated. Well,
Right.
one of them got drafted to the LA Sparks, and she's gonna play alongside Pat Summitt's.
Gino Auriemma, he has the most consecutive wins in NCAA history. Does Pat Summitt have that? No.
But she has more championships.
Just one, and my man's still
You're
not
saying
done
just
yet.
one. You're
It's
saying
still
just
not
one, though,
done
but it
yet.
happens.
He's not done yet. He's gonna win one next year, and then the year after that.
Whatever you say. From the winner's circuit to Pat Summitt, we want to wish you a great recovery, and we hope to see you on the sidelines here and there, helping with practices, helping with plays, whatever fashion you want to help the Tennessee Volunteers. We are here for that. Pat Summitt also mentioned that through the Pat Summitt Foundation, she will be on the forefront on the fight against Alzheimer's, and she will also help through her philanthropy and help through the school and be a forefront member of anything that the university needs. So for that effort, we appreciate you here at the Winners.
I still love you, Pat Summitt. I just like to keep it real sometimes.
Whatever you say. What's next?
Speaking of college coaches,
John Calipari.
Right.
What's up?
John Calipari has produced NBA talent all over the place.
For years now.
Derrick Rose, Marcus Camby, Tyreke Evans, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins. The list has gone on and on and on. Recently, the University of Kentucky, their starting 5, they all declared for the NBA draft. Anthony Davis, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Marcus Teague, Deron Lamb, Terrence Jones. All of them are locks for the first round. Now, they have another player, senior Darius Miller, who's also may be projected to go in the first round, which would be the first time a school has ever had 6 first-round draft picks in the same year. How do you feel about that? I mean, he collects great talent. He may be another coach that's better than Pat Summitt. Nah, I was just kidding. But anyway, how do you feel about that?
Well, I feel like it's good for the game. I mean,
good for the game.
It's good for the game if it's allowed to happen. So you got to work with what you're given, right?
But it's like a rented player system. It's like an AAU team.
Well, players understand. Players have the options to make their own decisions, right? When you go to Kentucky, you understand that John Calipari is going to put you on the platform to be successful. Now, due to the previous players that you just mentioned, Derrick Rose, Tyreke Evans, DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall, Marcus Camby, those are great players who produced in the NBA under John Calipari's tutelage. Now, what I will say is that when you go to Calipari, you understand that he's going to run a pro-style system, and he's going to put you in the best position to be successful on the college platform. Now, after the season is over, you have to discuss what you're going to do. These players have worked their whole lives to get to this position, and John Calipari is one of the main coaches who can put you on that platform. Now, in the past 2 years, he has had 6 first-round draft picks since since his tenure at Kentucky with 4 lottery picks. That is definitely going to go up in this next NBA draft. So that's only going to help him recruit more players who might necessarily be one and done. Terrence Jones stayed for 2 years. So, I mean, players who understand the business, who understand that there's potential to be a great NBA prospect, you can go to John Calipari and be successful. Certain players, when they go to Duke, you understand that when you get in that system, you're going to be there for 2 to 3 years. In the past 2 years, we've seen 2 players, Austin Rivers and previously Kyrie Irving, who left after 1 year. But based on previous precedent, when you go to Duke, you go there for 2 to 3 years and you're set, and then you go to the NBA. When Luol Deng declared after 1 year, that was a surprise to everyone. But it happens sometimes, and you got to deal with what you're given. This one and done rule in the NBA is there for a reason. They wanted to stop high school players from diluting the NBA and not reaching their full potential. The one and done rule doesn't help players reach their full potential because players understand that if I go for 1 year, I'm eligible for the NBA draft.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but the system is still messed up. You have these kids going to school for 1 semester, then they're out of class, they don't have to go to school anymore, and then they're in the NBA. You're not getting that education. You're just playing basketball. Why not just let kids go to high school? Go from high school to the NBA. You might as well.
I mean, that should be an option, but I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand here and there because when great players were leaving from high school to bypass college, we saw some great talent leave. We saw Kobe leave, KG, Tracy McGrady, most recently LeBron James. I mean, like, these players are historically great players. So just imagine if they would have went to college. So I'm sure David Stern was thinking that as well. Like, if these players who can't, we got to call him. You on with the winning circle? What's up?
How you doing? This is Ray Ron from the Poets Realm, and I just wanted to ask, can I get you guys top 5 coaches, whether it be male or female, of all time?
In what capacity? NBA, college?
NBA, the realm of basketball. Just the realm of basketball.
You go first. I want to hear what you say. You go first.
Well, here's my top 5. I would say John Wooden, Phil Jackson, Larry Brown.
Oh no.
Greg Popovich. This is NBA.
Okay, keep going. Keep going.
Larry Brown is about that.
Okay, but can I get one more?
Oh, and then I would say John Wooden, Phil Jackson, Larry Brown, Greg Popovich, and potentially who would be 5th?
Mike Krzyzewski. I mean, come on. Bobby Knight.
Yeah, Coach K.
All right. First of all, Larry Brown is not the 3rd greatest coach of all time. My top 5 is more realistic. We got Phil Jackson, John Wooden, Red Holzman, Coach K, and Bobby Knight.
Let me ask you something. Why would you put Red Holzman above?
He got 2 championships. Larry Brown only has 1.
Larry Brown is the only coach who has led teams to an NCAA championship and an NBA championship.
So what?
Also, he's well known to come in the programs and clean up programs, whether it be college or NBA.
Ray Vaughn, what you think about it? Who's your top 5?
Well, my top 5, I mean, it may be a little controversial. I'm a San Antonio Spurs fan, so I'm going to exclude Greg out there. We all know he's the best coach in the game right now.
Okay.
But I'm thinking, and this is in a different order. This is Phil Jackson.
Right.
We got to throw Gino up in there. I don't know why he gets cut out. We got to throw Pat up in there.
Top 5.
And listen, they go hand in hand. If you got Gino, then you got to throw Pat in there.
Let him finish.
Larry Brown,
Okay. I need one more.
And you already know that man that won all them Boston titles and then ended up making his center a starting coach, even though he was calling him every night, telling him what to do.
Oh, we didn't mention that.
Yeah, we didn't mention Red Auerbach.
Are you playing Larry Brown there? Because he used to call
on court.
Larry Brown? But he's not top 5 to me. I'm sorry.
I just look at Larry Brown for what he does when he gets the most out of his players. A lot of the times when he coaches teams, they're not the most talented. But what he does is he instills a system that helps them propel to great positions. Most of the teams that he gets the most out of, they go to the finals, Eastern Conference Finals, all the time. He led UCLA to an NCAA championship game. Then he turned around Kansas, got them a championship. Then he went to the NBA. He coached the Spurs. He coached the Pacers. He coached the Sixers. He coached the Pistons. The Sixers, he got to an NBA Finals. The Pacers, he got them to an Eastern Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm.
He got the Pacers to Eastern Conference Finals. He got the Pistons to 2 NBA Finals. I mean, like, what else do you want from this guy? He comes in and he cleans up organizations all the time. Now, what comes with the territory of Larry Brown is he's not necessarily there for a long period of time. He's usually there for 5 to 6 years and then he's gone. But that comes with the territory of Larry Brown.
And you know what the other thing is? He's taking the fall for the newest generation of, ignorant athletes that just want to be a hot dog and everything else. Let's say he's taking the fall for the New York guys because we already know Stephon did not want to pass the ball to anyone. Isaiah was trying to undermine him. They had a secret rivalry. With the Charlotte thing, of course Mike is not going to give him all the support he can get because they were rivals.
And he still led them to the playoffs. He still led them to the playoffs, 44 and 38.
They got swept.
But that was their first playoff berth ever.
So what? They didn't win a game.
But look who he had. Of course he had to get
Red
swept.
Holzman could have did that.
You're looking at a different time. Obviously, the Knicks in the 70s and the Charlotte Bobcats in the 2000s are different teams. It's different environments. It's different ways of playing the game. The talent that Larry Brown had with the Charlotte Bobcats, he maximized it to his best ability. Red Holzman has 2 championships in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Right? What happened after that?
He retired.
Why didn't he instill a foundation that can help them?
He tutored Phil Jackson, who won 11 championships, so he's responsible for 13 championships.
Look at Larry Brown. Larry Brown. Look at Larry Brown's coaching tree. He got Calipari, Bill Self. Who else?
Phil Jackson's better than all of them.
Bill Self, R.C. Buford, general manager.
Listen, Larry.
San Antonio. I mean, the man has been affiliated with a lot of great ambassadors of basketball.
Exactly. So if we're talking about all of these top 5 great coaches, a lot of these coaches are gonna have a coaching tree that's unbelievable because they're great coaches. They're gonna be able to have people up under them that are gonna learn from them. Where's Phil Jackson's latest protege?
I don't know.
Exactly. So we have to wait and see. It's gonna happen.
That's it.
Exactly.
Listen, he has 11 championships. He doesn't need a protege.
Hey man, it happens.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, but there's another debate about the Phil Jackson thing. We don't know if he can win without a megastar. They said he couldn't win without Jordan. He came out of retirement, and look who he had. He had Kobe and Shaq. Is he good enough to win without one of the top 3 players in the league at any time?
Well,
I'm not going to doubt that 11, but can he win without a megastar?
What I will say is this: there are things that when we look at the ability of a coach, first you have to get them, you have to instill a system, then you have to get the most out of the talent you have, and then deal with the psychology, right? I feel like to manage the personalities that Phil Jackson had, you have to give him a lot of credit.
I'm gonna give him credit for being a personality person. He knows how to calm certain people down. He was allowing Dennis Rodman to come into practice smelling like alcohol, and this man led the league in rebounds. Michael Jordan didn't wring his neck because his teammates feared him more than his opponents. But I'm talking about as far as X's and O's. Larry Brown can do with minimal talent and get you somewhere.
LB.
I think you two guys have like a Larry Brown bias
I
because
mean-
you like the Sixers and you like the Spurs. All right.
I mean,
Hey, what is with this Larry Brown stuff?
I mean, I have personal feelings towards Larry
Oh,
Brown.
I know.
Because Larry Brown led the 2001 76ers to an NBA Finals.
Did they win?
Where they didn't have any business even making it to
Did
the
they
second
win?
round.
Did they win?
But him combined with the great talent of Allen Iverson.
Oh my.
I mean, there's something that has to be said for a coach that has been able to deal with the personality of an Allen Iverson, regardless of the fact if he didn't necessarily handle practice the right way or whatever. But
And now think about this. What was Allen before Larry Brown? What was Allen after Larry Brown?
He was
Definitely
nothing.
wasn't a final
and he was
contender.
nothing with Larry Brown, and he's always gonna be nothing.
Yeah, he's a
nothing.
gunner.
If you
He's a
look at
gunner.
Wait,
if
we
you
have
look-
a third opinion. Let's ask my man right
hold
here.
on. Before we get into it, why don't you introduce yourself to the fans of the winning circuit?
I'm Leon Hodges, man. I'm one of the producers from the Soundview.
Okay.
And couldn't be with you guys, get to know you.
No,
I'm the one Francisco was talking about.
okay. So here we go. We're sitting here talking about great coaches and personalities. As our caller mentioned, we have Dennis Rodman, we have Michael Jordan, we have Kobe Bryant, we have Shaquille O'Neal. Larry Brown has to deal with personalities. David Robinson, Reggie Miller, Allen Iverson. Also having to work under personalities such as Isaiah Thomas, Michael Jordan. So when we look at coaching ability and we look at Larry Brown, right? Larry Brown was able to get the most out of one of the most mercurial superstars that we've ever seen in our generation.
Who was that?
Allen Iverson.
I think you throwing the
If-
word superstar around a little loosely.
Allen Iverson was
You're
Allen
throwing the
Iverson
word
was an
superstar.
icon. Allen
What?
Iverson,
Allen Iverson was an icon.
Allen Iverson was an icon.
financially,
After Michael
culturally.
Jordan's retirement, who was the superstar that led?
Kobe,
Before Kobe Bryant.
Shaq.
No, it was Allen Iverson.
No,
Do
no,
your research.
no,
Do,
no.
Who led the league in jersey sales
No.
year in and
Oh,
year
my
out?
God.
Allen Iverson.
Oh.
Who
Allen
was-
Iverson was one of the top selling jerseys
Yes,
at
boy.
1 year
For-
in his time.
for-
So what?
Yeah.
For
Yeah, that's
10,
true.
for
But
10
he-
years at a
I'm
time.
not gonna lie,
Allen-
he does have.
Wait, you can finish your point.
Oh no, I was gonna say, of course, we all know Allen Iverson is a huge underachiever. His basketball IQ isn't the greatest. He thinks about himself before his teammates, and that's why he couldn't win a title.
Well,
But you cannot say he wasn't one of the top 10 players in between 2000 and 2010.
Maybe like 11. I don't know about top.
Oh, 11.5.
Oh, this is the same guy who has 4 scoring titles. This is the
But
same.
he didn't
this
go
is-
nowhere.
This is the same guy who led the Philadelphia
He don't-
76ers
they didn't
in
win.
2001 to
He
the
didn't
Eastern Conference
win.
Final. Okay, and what play?
He didn't
hold
win.
up, you have a Knicks hat on, right? You
right.
have a Knicks hat
Of
on, right?
course.
So let's talk about the Knicks. Let's talk about the Knicks franchise during that same period. The Philadelphia 76ers were consistently Atlantic Division leaders from 2000 to 2006. They were consistently first round to Eastern Conference Finals. They was consistently in the second round, going against top competition. Where were the Knicks at during this period? They had some of the worst records that we ever seen in NBA basketball. They consistently lost lottery picks. They consistently traded away all of those picks for veteran players who didn't produce. So what are you saying? Look at Allen Iverson's production from 2000 to 2006. He has 4 scoring titles. He has 2 All-Star Game MVPs, and the Philadelphia 76ers were consistently a top team in the Eastern Conference. This is all facts. Under Larry Brown.
He's definitely going to the Hall of Fame. I don't know about first ballot, but definitely second ballot. I don't know if my man just hating on Larry or anyone affiliated with him. What's going on over here?
I'm just saying. Are you mad because he only coached 1 year with the Knicks, and then what was your record then? 23-59. I don't think you can blame that on Larry Brown. As I
You
call
can't.
him,
You got to blame that on Steph,
and
who doesn't
Isaiah
want to
Thomas.
pass the ball.
This is all facts. This is all facts. Larry Brown clearly wanted to get rid of Stephon Marbury before this season even started because he knew he was a cancer. Stephon Marbury clearly has been a cancer on every franchise he was in. He just so happened to build the relationship.
The only team that he hasn't been a cancer on is a Turkish team that doesn't even understand what he's talking about. But if they understood some of his rhetoric, they'd probably kick him out the clubhouse. Because he has a mouth on him.
What is your opinion? What do you think?
Larry Brown's been very great.
Larry Brown's a great coach, man.
Yeah, I've been following with him. Man. He's been very good. He's been leading a good thing. Yeah, he's a very good guy. Man.
Who has a more extensive basketball tree than Larry Brown? Every person he interacts with, they end up doing something for the sport.
I'm just saying.
Who is that, Michael Jordan?
Okay, enough of this Larry Brown fan club over here.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Knickerbockers.
Let's talk about the Knicks.
I'm Knicks.
When we got
So y'all gonna go head to head with Miami in the playoffs. That's what it's boiling up to. Jeremy Lin, of course, his knee is not that bad. They're resting him. Mari, I don't know if his back is really that bad. What are you going to do up against the Big Three?
Listen, I expect an easy series win, 4-0. History repeats itself.
really,
The Knicks are a better franchise than the Heat.
really.
The Knicks beat the Heat constantly over and over and over in the playoffs. The Heat beat the Knicks one time in the playoffs in their entire history. Thanks a lot, David Stern.
But I'm talking about
that's a
2012.
topic for another show.
Well,
What I would like to discuss right now is what are you guys gonna wear at the Knicks championship parade? Because when the Knicks win the championship parade, will you
When
call
is that?
back on this show and eat your words? Because the Knicks will win the championship. Mark my words.
well,
When?
I feel like the hoopla that you're following is based on the fact that Carmelo Anthony has been playing out of his mind in the last month of basketball. It's been a coaching change from Mike D'Antoni to Mike Woodson. He's turned around the Knicks tremendously.
Yes, he did.
They're 14-4 during an 18-game stretch. I mean, he's gotten J.R. Smith to buy into some defense. He's gotten Carmelo Anthony to buy into some defense. There are certain players who are inconsistent from time to time. Now, Carmelo Anthony is one of those players.
What? What are you talking?
Despite his tremendous talent and his ability to score the ball, he's widely regarded by people as one of the best scorers in the NBA, which I will not contest. I feel like
this is what I'm saying. He's one of the top 2 all-around scorers in the league. He can post. He can hit you with the 18-footer. He can hit you from beyond the arc. He has a handle. There's only one player that has almost as much scoring ability, and that's Kevin Durant. But Kevin Durant just got a post-up game this year as a 6'10". Melo had a post-up game in Syracuse.
Okay. Now, as someone who has watched the game, your knowledge precedes itself. You clearly know about the game.
I don't know. This Larry Brown stuff.
The scoring ability that you speak of is clearly there. But why is it that he doesn't ever lead the league in scoring? His career score, despite all of his scoring prowess, he only averages 24 points a game for his career. During this great year that he's having, or this great month, I should say, he's only averaging 22 points a game.
Oh no, he's taking a back seat. He's definitely taking a back seat. Jeremy Lin, that whole craze and everything else put him through the roof. If you have all 3 of these guys on a court at the same time, Mike Woodson is not capable enough to handle multiple big-time scorers. We saw it in Atlanta, where it was just a one-on-one show in the playoffs, and they got destroyed. They need a good coach that can maximize the top scorers and make these side dudes, serviceable. J.R. Smith could give you 15. He should not be throwing up the ball every time he comes down the court. Melo should be first option. If he's not first option, he's 1.5. It's between him and Stoudemire. Jeremy Lin.
Do you think when Stoudemire comes back, he's going to be able to incorporate himself with the way Carmelo is playing? Carmelo.
It's all up to Mike Woodson. It's all up to the coach because we know what Melo can do. We know what Stoudemire can do. We know what Jeremy Lin can do. But if you can't put the X's and O's together, you can have a bomb squad and it doesn't matter. Look at when they had Shaq on the Lakers. They had Shaq, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, and Kobe. They should have easily won a title that year. They lost.
Who did they lose to? Larry Brown and the Detroit Pistons.
Detroit Pistons. You know, and if you can't put the X's and O's together, it doesn't matter how much talent you have. Remember, the Trailblazers went up against the Lakers. Remember Vlade Divac smacked the ball out to the three-point line against the Lakers.
Well, I guess if Larry Brown was coaching him, he wouldn't have done that, huh?
Larry Brown is one of the geniuses of NBA basketball.
Yeah,
of basketball in general.
He's a basketball genius.
Who else would have put Allen Iverson at shooting guard? Who else would have saw that his scoring ability?
Everybody else, because everybody knows Allen Iverson can't pass the ball and doesn't pass the ball.
Well, here's the thing. Larry Brown has the ability to build franchises. And Isaiah Thomas didn't.
You mean like the Bobcats? He built that to a national powerhouse, huh?
Well, they went to the playoffs for the first time, and him and Michael Jordan parted ways for reasons that we don't understand. Maybe it's what you call Larry Brownitis. Larry Brown can't stay in one place for too long, and he had to go. Him signing at SMU, you can guarantee that SMU will become a powerhouse.
No, they won't.
It would just take time.
No, they won't.
I got to disagree on this. I don't even know who SMU is.
Well, just think about what Larry Brown did with the Indiana Pacers. The first 6 years of Reggie Miller's career, nobody considered the Indiana Pacers a contender. And what did he do? He turned them into a team that can go up against the Knicks, the Bulls, the Magic, and anybody. So, I mean,
yeah.
It takes time.
It takes time. But I wouldn't go to no bum. It was, what are they, Division 2A? Just slipping into Division 1?
Hey,
I don't even know what does SMU stand for. Can anyone on the piano tell me? Because I don't know.
What?
Southern Methodist University. Eric Dickerson went there. For football. I mean, during the 80s, their football program was one.
But he not coaching football.
Hey,
but you know, Eric Dickerson never liked to get touched. He was running out of bounds. That's why he padded the stack so high. He never got hit.
Hey man, shout out to Eric Dickerson. If you want to come on the winning circuit, give us a call, 203-345-0103. But yeah, I mean, it just obviously when you have the ability to coach the way all of the great coaches that we named have the ability to do, they see something in any situation that they have, and I feel like Larry Brown has the ability to work with what he has and can build.
Yeah.
John Calipari, he has to deal with the system that he's given. One and done players understand that when they come to Calipari, they're trying to put themselves in a position to go to the NBA. What other coach can we say will have up to 4 or 5 first-round draft picks in the same draft?
Larry Brown in 2 years when he coaches SMU is gonna have all that talent because he's that great, huh?
We'll see what happens.
Now the thing about the Calipari thing, we can't predicate him sending people to the NBA solely off his coaching prowess, because Kentucky is one of the top recruiters in the country right now. Everyone wants to go there. Now, if we took Calipari and bumped him down to a SMU, what will he do? I mean, it's a hypothetical question because he's never going to go back down. But the other thing is, we've proven his coaching prowess in the NBA. It wasn't up to par.
You can say the same. You can say the same thing.
He was a welterweight at best. He didn't get his weight up.
You can say the same thing for Rick Pitino, though. Rick Pitino was a great college coach, but he wasn't necessarily the best NBA coach.
And now look at Rick Pitino's lately. Look at his resume in college. It speaks for itself. The college game is totally different from the NBA game. That's why I respect someone like Coach K, because he can coach the top stars in the NBA, not an NBA team. He went to the Olympics, grabbed the bomb squad, and made sure that they won. The coach before him really couldn't do that. It was too many egos.
Yeah,
It was
like
good.
Allen Iverson.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know what AI gonna do.
I
nowadays.
mean, they did lose, but it wasn't just because of Allen Iverson.
Sure,
Look
sure.
at the team's makeup. There was the
Sure.
only reason why that team lost is because you had LeBron James, who didn't have a jump shot at the time. You had Dwayne Wade, who didn't have a jump shot at the time. You had Carmelo Anthony, who didn't know what passing the ball meant.
Oh, but Iverson did, right?
Obviously,
Iverson did, right?
look at the team in 2003 that they had. They had Jason Kidd. They had Vince Carter. They had Tracy McGrady. They had Jermaine O'Neal. Tim Duncan and Allen Iverson were still on the team, and they were running through preliminaries. But as soon as the team changed, that's when they started losing.
Listen.
This is
I
all
under-
proven
I
facts.
understand you
When
love
you look-
Allen Iverson,
But you
like,
can't blame that on
Why
Allen
not?
Iverson.
Why not?
Because he was not the only factor in them losing. Tim Duncan.
He was the main factor, though.
Tim Duncan, who was a proven winner, was on that same team in 2004.
Nah.
Would you blame that on Tim Duncan?
No, it's mostly Iverson's fault
It's mostly Iverson because of what?
because he.
It-
It's actually mostly the general manager of
Exactly.
the Olympic team.
The way he
You
built
can't
the
just
team.
put
Nah.
Yeah, you can't
Listen,
put the best
listen.
player. You can't put. This is not NBA Live. This is not 2K12. You can't just mash a whole bunch of talent together and expect to win. You have to have chemistry. And this dude, Colangelo, he came in and made
Put
chemistry.
together.
with the current with what that's another point that you brilliantly just transition into. How do you feel about certain players voicing their opinion about getting paid to play during the Olympics?
Now, the pay-to-play thing is kind of corny to me because you're already a multi-millionaire before you go to the Olympics. I've never heard about a bum player getting sent to the Olympics. But the thing is, now these guys are thinking about branding each other off. They're thinking about how can I make myself an icon.
Right.
They do not just want to be muscle-bound athletes that just run up and down the court. They want to have a legacy. LeBron James, he made sure before his rookie year started that he had a brand. What was his name worth? So now they look at the Olympics and say, you know what, there's people overseas that are branded. Why can't we do it? And we're blowing these dudes out.
So do you feel that? So you don't feel like there's any validity to the argument?
Personally, I think that it's a little dishonorable to go into the Olympics asking for money when you just bought a Bentley.
I feel like you brought up great points, and I agree with all of them. But I will also add up something as well. All of these players who have made millions of dollars up until this point, they make probably $20 to $30 million a year on the court, and they make lucrative money off of the court.
Endorsements, advertisements.
All of this has happened because of the previous players. If you look at the brand of basketball that we have now, it's up and down, it's athletic. All of this has come from the predecessors who didn't have the opportunity to reach those heights monetarily. So when we look at players like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and to some degree Michael Jordan up until the early 90s, I mean, these players didn't make a lot of money on the court. They had to look at other business ventures to get money. Magic Johnson's career contract with the Lakers was 25 years for $25 million. That's $1 million per year. But at that time, that was one of the richest contracts that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
If you look at players of this generation, Kobe Bryant is making over $30 million on the court per year.
Yeah.
So when you look at players who have built up the brand of basketball to what it has been, those players did not get paid to play on the dream team. Those players played to expand the game of basketball.
Exactly. That's how I feel. I feel like it should be a form of symbolism.
Right.
How much do you love this sport?
Right. If there was an opportunity to maybe not pay the player necessarily, but compensate them in a way. How do you think that USA Basketball can adjust that in some way?
I think that they should just everyone has their own charity, and then the Olympic Committee or the NBA contributes to the charity, and you just play ball for the love of it, blow niggas out for the love of it. Excuse me.
Right.
Yeah, it's not going to be about, I need this little check cut from Nike, because Larry Bird and those guys, they were going at it. They said the practices were harder than the game.
Right.
They didn't ask for $1. You got Dwight Howard. We don't even talk about his yearly gross. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade. We don't even talk about their yearly grosses. Let's see how much you love the sport. Choose your charity, and the Olympic Committee or the NBA will fund it. And now you got to play your heart out every day for some kid in multiple sclerosis or handicapped or, whatever the case may be.
Right. You mentioned a player that I would like to speak on, and his name is Dwight Howard.
Lord.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Now,
I don't even want to talk about it. Wait till he grows up.
Let the caller finish his thoughts, and then we're going to let you talk about Dwight Howard.
how do you feel about Dwight Howard?
Well, you know what? I think that I don't know what the tactic was, him signing that extension. I don't know what his tactics are with these 18-year-old games. He's definitely the best big man. Well, he's definitely the best center in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I still think the best big man in the game is Kevin Love. But Dwight Howard has too many ears. He has too many voices in his ears. He's definitely not dictating all these weird moves that we're all looking at. Like, what are you doing? You sign an extension. You undermine the coach. The coach throws you under the bus. General management tells the coach. I think he has the wrong type of guidance. His agent needs to be questioned, if not drug out, to the back of the shed. Something has to give. If he signed an extra extension, they're not going to get Deron Williams because they do not have the money.
I mean, but he hurt his back. He has back spasms.
He's got back spasms. He's upset. He's on PMS. He has a different excuse every time he gets upset.
Now, before I like my co-host Isaiah, he has a few thoughts on Dwight Howard. We'd like to thank you, but we're gonna let you rant about Dwight Howard. Go ahead. How you feel?
All right, now I want to commend our caller just for the simple fact that he's laid out so many things outside of basketball skill that brings down Dwight Howard's value.
Right.
But I would.
Yeah, I want to know when the next time y'all doing a live show that I'll call back in.
I mean,
every Wednesday, 7 to 8.
Every Wednesday, 7 to 8. Before you hang up, I just want you to hear one thing. I mean, everything you said was just so great. I mean, I'm just gonna add on to that. The ability to create as an NBA player. We look at the game now. I mean, there's so much athletic ability, which Dwight Howard has. He's clearly one of the great athletes of our generation. I mean, he's a big man who can clearly dunk over everyone. He's a physical phenom. I mean, he's clearly that good. But I feel like Dwight Howard as a player in the NBA game is overrated. You call Pat Summitt overrated. I'm calling Dwight Howard overrated. Everyone calls him the best center in the game in a game where there are no centers.
That's not his fault.
He has no offensive moves whatsoever. Dwight Howard has been in the game for how long now? This is his 8th season. And you still can defend him one-on-one, which is mind-boggling for someone who is the best center in the NBA. When we look at the game of basketball, it was built on the titans of the league. When we look at George Gervin, you look at Bill Russell. I'm not George Gervin, George Mikan. I'm sorry. You got George Mikan. You got Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain. Then you transition into the 70s. You got McAdoo. You got Bill Walton during his heyday with the Trailblazers. Then you go into the 80s. Oh, we still didn't mention Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who dominated college basketball and NBA basketball for over 30 years.
He just showed it.
Then you could turn it around and go into the late 80s and early 90s. You got Akeem Olajuwon. You got Patrick Ewing. You got David Robinson. You got Shaquille O'Neal. You got all of these great centers, and all of these great centers have offensive moves. You got spin moves. You got back to the basket fadeaways. All of these great things. And Dwight Howard has not developed any of those things. He still wants to dunk on everyone, which is cool. After your first 2 years, you got to develop something. You have to develop something. You have to develop something. Now, if you look at the team he's on the Orlando Magic. They're constructed around him. He's the anchor inside, and he has shooters around him. Granted, you have to play inside out, but they don't play inside out. They play outside in. So when he comes down the court and he goes in the post, there's a strong chance that Jameer Nelson might pull up for a three, or there's a strong chance that there might be a pick and roll between Jameer Nelson and Dwight Howard, who hasn't developed a jump shot. At that, he hasn't developed a 15-foot hook, post, whatever. He hasn't developed that. But there's a strong chance that they'll run a pick and roll, and what will Jameer Nelson do? Jameer Nelson will kick out to Quentin Richardson or Ryan Anderson or who? Big Baby Davis. I mean, there's a strong chance that Dwight Howard will go down the court and not even touch the ball. That is Dwight Howard's problem. Dwight Howard is supposed to develop the ability to create shots for not only himself, but for others. And he cannot do that. He still cannot pass out of double teams. And he's in his 8th season in the NBA. He still is guarded one-on-one against players who can defend him up to the best of their abilities. Joakim Noah, who is a great defender in his own right, should not be able to defend Dwight Howard one-on-one. It shouldn't be possible. When you look at the great centers who I previously just named of the past, whether they were dominant inside or they had mid-range jump shots, it wasn't necessarily the same thing every time, but they developed skills that can help them create shots for their teammates. When you look at Patrick Ewing in the 90s, he wasn't the drop his shoulder down and dunk on you center, but what was he? He was the draw defenders in, kick out to John Starks, kick out to Harper, kick out to Houston, kick out to Sprewell, and he had his own mid-range jump shot, which helped him offensively create shots for others and helped the Knicks become dominant in the 90s. Dwight Howard is not doing that. Despite leading the Magic to the finals in 2009, I still wouldn't consider the Magic an elite team. Why? Because Dwight Howard has not taken those steps to be a great player necessarily. He's a good player, and at times he is so dominant that you say, how hasn't he taken those steps yet? But I look at him and I look at Carmelo Anthony and I say the same thing. As good as Carmelo Anthony is, as great of a scorer as he is, he's not the best scorer he can be because he's not consistent. If you average 24 points, right? Why is everyone calling you the best scorer in the NBA? Dwayne Wade, who is not the best scorer in the NBA, averages more points than you. He averages 25 points a game. He has more 50-point games than you. He has more 40-point games than you. He has a scoring title. When you look at LeBron James, who everyone calls Magic 2.0, who is a passer before a scorer, he averages 27.6 points a game, the highest scoring average of any current NBA player. 27.6. Why isn't he considered one of the best scorers in the NBA? You have Kobe Bryant, who in the same breath is 33 years old, but is on pace to win his 3rd scoring title. He already has 2. He's already broken numerous scoring records, 81 points. He's broken the Garden record, 61 points. He has multiple seasons with two plus 50-point games in that season. Carmelo Anthony doesn't have any of that. He has 3 seasons of under 23 points a game. He has a season where he goes from 26 points a game, and then the next year, he goes to 22 points. Now you say, okay, his shooting went down. I mean, his scoring went down, but his field goal percentage must have went up. No, his shooting percentage went down. He went from 48% to 43%. So where's the consistency at? Carmelo Anthony is shooting out of his mind this month. He's averaging 31 points a game. He's gonna be player of the month. But I will say this. This season, he averages 22 points a game. He's shooting 42%, and he's 6'8". I'm just saying, he could be so much better. Now, when I look at great scorers, I look at Michael Jordan. I look at LeBron James. I look at Kobe Bryant. I look at Allen Iverson. These are all players who consistently, prolifically scored every game, every season, year in and year out. There's no drop-off. You knew coming in that you were going to get buckets. When you look at Michael Jordan, 28 points out the gate as a rookie. He broke his leg, he dropped 22. But then what did he do? Dropped 37, then came back, dropped 35, then he needed to win. So what did he do? His scoring still was around 33 points a game, but the Bulls were winning. So what? 33 points, 31 points, 30, 32. 7 straight scoring titles. Then he retires for a year and a half, comes back, wins 3 more scoring titles. That's consistency. That's 10 straight scoring titles. I'm just saying, when you look at scoring and you look at the ability that Carmelo Anthony has, he's not the best scorer in the NBA.
I don't know what to say. Do you agree with anything he just said?
So I mean, I ain't been in a while, but I've been checking on him. And I've been following my man, Brown. Like I said, he's pretty good. And depending on what team. Now, what team you, because my team was the Lakers.
So you know about the great big men. You know about Wilt Chamberlain,
Yeah.
who has 7 scoring titles. You know about Wilt Chamberlain, who
Magic Johnson on them.
you know about the prestige.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when we speak about great big men such as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, you know what the ability is with the big men. How do you feel about Dwight Howard?
Well, that was good.
Dwight Howard's good, exactly.
But I don't know if he's going to beat, but these big guys, he's good now. I'm going to give it to him. But he's got a lot, he's up there. But he's got to be the greatest basketball player in the world. He's up there. So I'll give him that credit.
I'd like to apologize to all the winning circuit viewers out there. My partner officially done lost his mind. And tune in the next week. Hopefully my partner has his sanity back. Stop hating on Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony. I mean, this guy likes Allen Iverson. Like, give me a break. So, any final thoughts, anything? I apologize. This is your boy Nix. I apologize to the viewers because my partner lost his mind today. He didn't take his medicine today. I'm sorry.
All I was saying was what was truly not just on my mind, but what is on the people's mind.
I disagree.
But what we will, as we wrap up, we got a little something funny for you guys. We got a clip of people running on treadmills and going nowhere fast, sort of like the New York Knicks.
Very funny. Shout out to our caller too. Thanks for calling in.
203-345-0103.
We out.